Welcome to Friday First Down, presented by BHS TV. And now, let's go inside the BHS TV studio with your hosts, Drake York and John Kleemeyer.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us right here on Friday First Down. No, I am not Drake York. I'm Adam Good, filling in for Drake tonight. And John, a big game coming up, a little less than 30 minutes away, and it's senior night as the Dogs are hosting the Noblesville Millers. What are your thoughts?
Well, senior night, of course, a lot of the offense is composed of these seniors. So Ben Easters, Preston Terrell, some offensive linemen, Josh Sales. On defense, the linebacking core is pretty much seniors. So a lot of seniors are going to see to play tonight. Some are going to be subbed in. But yeah, I just expect a big show from these four-year players.
Yeah, I can't wait to see all that and celebrate those guys that have put in all the hard work, as well as all the other seniors involved in the program. Now, last time we saw you guys here on Friday First Down, it was really one for the ages, one of the best high school football games I've seen in a really long time. Unfortunately, the final score did not shake out for the Dogs. In overtime, it was a 43-42 loss against Westfield.
Yeah, it was a very good game for both offenses. Ben Easters threw for 171 yards and 2 interceptions, did not throw a touchdown in the game. Brandon Burks, 22 carries, 127 yards and a touchdown. Defense got lost in that in-depth Westfield spread offense, and they allowed a season-high 35 points. Brownsburg, 35 points in regulation, excuse me. Brownsburg lost in overtime to a 2-point conversion reverse, and that's their first regular season loss at home since HSE on October 18th, 2019, where they lost 28-25. So just a big loss on homecoming night.
Yeah, and a really, really gutsy call there by the Shamrocks, not only to go for two, but to do a reverse and throw it that far in the back. But they must have seen something they liked. It worked. That game was eerily similar to some past games against Westfield between the Dogs and the Shamrocks. Let's take you back to September 23rd, 2016. I know our fans remember this. Went to overtime at home against the Shamrocks. Dogs had the ball second, scored a touchdown. Hunter Johnson snuck it in, and then the Dogs were the ones going for two. Carson Gill off the right side wins the game for the Dogs. That was a very, very exciting night. And then let's take you back to 2018, September 21st, the Shamrocks visiting Roark Stadium again. It looked like they were going to come away with the win, trailing by 2 late in the game. They had a short field goal after a great defensive stand by the Dogs, and it went just right. And when I say just right, I mean just a little tiny bit right. No good. The Dogs snuck away with the win in that one. So a very big rivalry the past few seasons between the Dogs and the Shamrocks. I'd love to see them again, John, because if we do see them again in the tournament, that would mean we are playing in the state championship. Of course, the Dogs are in the south and Westfield is in the north. Now, last week, the Dogs traveled to Zionsville and had a really nice bounce back in a win.
Yeah, Zionsville, the final score there, 41-13. It was a full show, both offensive, defensively. Ben Easters threw 20 for 27, 338 yards and 5 touchdowns. Very accurate, and he found his favorite target, Preston Terrell, 11 catches, 203 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's a career night for Mr. Terrell. Brownsburg leaned more into the passing game after their 2 star running backs were out, and they capitalized with that passing game, throwing 5 touchdowns. Defense came back for redemption and held Zionsville to 13 points. So just a great bounce back game, going back where you lost last year in the playoffs and being able to win that game.
Yeah, and you never quite know how guys are going to respond after a tough overtime loss like they did to Westfield. And you know, the Eagles came out and on the second play from scrimmage had a long run for a touchdown, went up 6-0. And from them, it was all Dogs. As you mentioned, the Eagles knocked the Dogs out of the playoffs last year in a little bit of a shocker. So the Dogs were able to get a little revenge in that respect. And, you know, after that 6-0, it was completely Dogs. I said on my social media, one of my favorite games, Yahtzee 5 times. It was Ben Easters to Preston Terrell. Just an unbelievable showing by those two guys and a great win for the Dogs to move to 6-1. Now, let's take a quick look at the season schedule and upcoming games here for the Dogs. 6-1, as I just mentioned. What do you see here on the schedule?
Yeah, looking back at some of these games, the defense has had to adjust with multiple different schemes. Of course, Noblesville runs this T formation. Westfield ran that spread option and stuff like that. So they've had to change their defensive scheme and how they want to attack these offenses. And some of the injuries have caused the offense to change their scheme as well. But they've still been able to produce about 35 points per game. Defense played well. Like I said, Brownsburg will face HSE next week, who is third in the HCC and one of the toughest opponents Brownsburg will have to face this year. So very interesting to see how that game will play out. But Noblesville is very different how they use that T formation this week.
Yeah, it's all about the Noblesville Millers against the Brownsburg Bulldogs tonight, one game at a time. And we got lots more coming up later on Friday First Down. Thank you so much for being here. Stick around. We'll be back here in a minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2020 Brownsburg High School Marching Band and Guard.
Thank you so much to the sound of Brownsburg Marching Bulldogs. They had some cancellations in some competitions this year due to COVID restrictions. However, they were able to host a couple of events, including last Saturday night, which you just saw a part of. Lots and lots of very, very hardworking students, members of the Brownsburg Bulldog Band and Guard. Moving on here, senior night, yes. Brownsburg Bulldogs, Noblesville Millers. And John, let's take a quick look at how Noblesville has fared so far this season. Just 2-5, 1-4 in the HCC.
Yeah, that's the second worst record in the HCC. Only conference matchup win was against Franklin Central, who does have the worst record in the HCC. Most of their games are decided by 1, 2, 3 scores. So some of these games, they've kept it close, but just couldn't make the win. This new scheme for them with this T formation, it's new. They're trying to figure out what's working, what's the strengths, what the weaknesses is. So they're trying to balance out this scheme, and I think that's developed in some of those losses.
Yeah, and let's take a look at some of the individual players on Noblesville. Let's start off with the rushing attack, which is the main emphasis of that double tight T offense, creating some confusion. Most of their yards come from on the ground.
Yeah, it's the main part of their offense, like you said. Jones, Marcy, and Speak, 65 carries, 73 carries, 49 carries. They run the ball a lot, averaging 80 yards, 26 yards, 24 yards, and 4 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, and 3 touchdowns. A lot of runs up the middle, power runs, and out the side. They're trying to get those guys in space. When they're in this T formation, you lose control of the ball. You don't know where it's going. Everything's just so clustered. It's hard to understand where everything is and where it's going, and it forces you to put 5 or 6 players on that defensive line. So it's kind of hard to play against this offense.
Yeah, lots of motion in the backfield. The quarterback generally turning his back to the defense with lots of fakes. So very, very tough for any defense to recognize. We saw it a little bit with Center Grove in the scrimmage this season, a fairly similar offense. Let's move on to the Noblesville receivers. And no, these are not incorrect. These are official stats from Max Preps. And as we mentioned, they almost exclusively run, so not a lot of big numbers for the receivers.
Yeah, 103 yards is their best receiver in Marcy. And, when they're passing the ball, it's more like a screen, maybe a kick out pass, trying to do something real quick, get them in space, a split second of space, like I said. They're just trying to catch the defense off guard, running the ball so many times, quick screen, boom, big gain. So they're trying to get this defense off balance, trying to see what their tendencies are on everywhere in the field.
Yeah, and if the receiving numbers aren't too big, then obviously the passing numbers aren't going to be too big either here. They've got a couple guys that'll come in at quarterback. What sticks out to you there?
Well, I just can't believe some of these teams in the HCC, they pass the ball a lot of times. Avon, especially that air attack that they have over there, they just pass the ball. So it's interesting to see the contrasting HCC teams and how each one of them plays. The QB for Noblesville is usually under center and doesn't really have room to drop back, so it's kind of interesting how they do that. The most passing yards they've had in the game, I looked this up, this season, 86 yards was their highest, lowest was 6, so they don't really pass the ball a lot, like you said.
And they have hit on some big passing plays, so even though they don't do it often, when they do it, it seems like it has caught some defenses by surprise, so I don't expect to see that from the Dogs tonight, but you do have to be ready for it. Moving over to the other side of the ball, John, they have some playmakers on defense, some guys creating some turnovers, some tackles for loss, and some sacks.
Yeah, you have 6 players who average over 6 tackles a game on defense. Your defense gives you a lot of different things. They do a lot of different things Noblesville does on defense. 2 defenders have at least 2 interceptions. They have 2 people in their front 7 who have 3.5 sacks this season. So they're trying to keep Brownsburg off balance. This Brownsburg offense mostly composed of seniors, so you want to try and get them off balance. Try and see what they're trying to do. Just trying to balance their defense up a little bit. A lot of players have a lot of different things that they can do.
Yeah, game time is quickly approaching. The Noblesville Millers here in Brownsburg at CF Roark Stadium, just a few more minutes away. Again, you are watching Friday First Down. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will be right back. Thank you so much to the BHS varsity cheerleading squad, doing a great job all season long, making the trips to the away games and the home games. Nice job there on the school song. They also have some competitions they've entered in recently and coming up, so best of luck to them in their upcoming competitions. It's senior night. Noblesville Millers, Brownsburg Bulldogs here in Brownsburg, and our very own John Kleemeyer was able to catch up with one of the stars of the Brownsburg defense earlier this week.
I'm here with senior linebacker Jalen Wilson. And Jalen, this Noblesville team is really different the way they play with that T formation. How has the defense adjusted?
It's definitely a formation that we have never seen before, but I feel like we're adjusting good to it. We just made it simple for as far as our checks and stuff, so our reads would be easier and be able to make plays in the backfield this week.
So looking forward to sectionals and the playoffs, what are your individual goals and team goals as far as when you get that far?
Individually, just become a better leader. Playoffs, games are usually closer. That's when leadership is most needed. But as a team, obviously the main goal is just to make it all the way to the state championship.
Yeah, like you said, leadership. A lot of seniors left the team. You've had to develop that leadership role. How well do you think the team has done under your control this season?
I think we're doing pretty good. It makes it a lot easier because we all have the same mindset, but just winning and always becoming better as a team.
The front seven, everything with Monty, Tony, you, of course, Jonah. How has the front seven adapted this season now that you've been able to expand and build upon the strengths you showed last year?
I feel like we adapted well, especially when, what you said, the experience that we all have. So I feel like we're able to recognize more stuff clearly now from playing these teams again.
Okay. Obviously tonight, your senior night. How will that affect how you play, knowing that it's your last regular season game at the Brownsburg field?
Just be able to play harder than ever. I won't never get a chance to get a regular season home game again after tonight, but I feel like just the energy will be up the entire game.
You've attacked so many opposing offenses really well in the St. X game. You got the interception that pretty much sealed the game and gave you a chance for your offense to score. And so many tackles for you. You lead the team in tackles. How has your aggressiveness changed the way this team plays overall?
I just feel like personally it just helps me be able to read plays and make them fast and get tackles. But overall as a team, I feel like my team just looks up to me to be able to make big plays and just lead our defense into a successful defense.
Thanks so much, John. It's really great to have guys like Jalen Wilson on the team.
Yeah, he's just a great leader. So many things he can do with his team. He leads the team in tackles, of course, and he talked about how much that front seven impacts the way this team plays. His leadership has definitely changed the way they've come in and been more aggressive this season.
Yeah, we took a look at some of the Noblesville individual statistics earlier, and we've had some really, really big numbers for the Brownsburg offense and defense, really. So let's take a closer look at some of these Brownsburg individual stats. And John, it starts with the man under center, and that would be quarterback Ben Easters.
Yeah, this is the best start of his career, 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, about 1,400 yards. He's taken over and developed the passing game when both of the running backs were hurt, and he's thrown over 60% completion percentage this season.
Yeah, and a lot of that passing yardage has to do with our great ground attack that defenses always have to be prepared for, and that ground attack has been led so far this season by Caleb Marcus.
Yeah, Caleb, he's been the guy to go to in late game situation. Hasn't played the last 2 games, but had a great start, rushed for 100 yards and 3 touchdowns in 2 straight games, so you don't really see that a lot around here in Brownsburg.
Yeah, and a complimentary back, more of a power back. Yeah. Brandon Burks has had some nice yards and specifically touchdowns so far this season.
Yeah, he shares the load with Caleb. Very aggressive when he runs. He got hurt at the beginning of last game, but he's shown a lot on the offensive side of the ball, being more the aggressive runner and getting those 1-yard, 2-yard gains that the Brownsburg offense needs.
And outside on the edge this season, it has been led for the most part by Luke Lacey, putting up just some unbelievable numbers. Now, he has missed the last 2 games due to injury. We hope to have an update on his status later tonight for tonight's game, but what have you seen from him this season?
Well, he's just been the go-to guy, especially in when throwing down the field. Speed is a big part of his game. St. X was probably the game of his life to this point, and just a great start of the season for Luke.
Yeah, and on the other side, it has been Preston Terrell. We already talked about him a little bit. 5 touchdowns last week against Zionsville, and he's been getting a lot of attention, being doubled, even maybe tripled at times, and he really proved against the Eagles that if you're not gonna put 2 or 3 guys on him, he's gonna make you pay.
Yeah, he's very aggressive. He's very aggressive with getting the ball up in the air, those 50-50 balls, but he's also aggressive run after catches a quick pass. He's able to run, stiff arm, get somebody out of his way. He wants to score every time he touches the ball. And he caught up to Luke Lacey in receiving yards. Luke, led that category at the beginning of the season. Preston's really close to that mark and shown that he could be a main target of the offense, even though he slacked behind when teams were doubling and tripling him. When there's only one guy to guard, Preston is there to catch those balls.
Yeah, he really draws a lot of attention even when his numbers aren't humongous. Just being on the field really makes the defense have to change their game plan. On the other side of the ball, it's the man you just talked to, the captain, Jalen Wilson.
Yeah, Jalen, he's just a great open field tackler. One of the most experienced on the defense. I talked to him and he said the front 7 is really, it's experience from last year. Tony Allo, Monty Jackson, Jalen Wilson, Jonah Billups, of course, and he said developing his skills as a leader for that front 7, it developed over the offseason. Couldn't really do a lot, but he understood that, I still have to communicate with those guys, and it's been a really important part of the front 7 so far this season.
Yeah, and that D-line has also been fantastic throughout the year. Lots of pressures, tackles for losses, sacks, and even creating some turnovers.
Yeah, this defensive line has double-digit sacks this season. Street, Allo, Jackson, and Howell. They have to use a 6-man front. I saw at practice against this offensive scheme. They have to use this 6-man front against this T formation Noblesville runs, and they're able to adjust to that. They are not afraid to put multiple people out on the field, get pressure in the backfield every single time. They're very aggressive on run and pass, and like I said, this front 7 is key to stop this Noblesville offense.
Yeah, and on special teams, the Dogs have had a pretty good season so far, and that's been led by Isaiah Street, a couple pump blocks, and lots of pressures.
Yeah, Isaiah Street, 2 punt blocks this season. I feel like every time they want to get a punt block with him, once a game, try and get him, adjusted, because he has long arms, he's very tall, I think 6'4", 6'5", and he just gets in there, blocks the punt, and he's the best special teams player so far for this Brownsburg Bulldog team.
Well, great job there, John. Great research. Yep. Nice job so far. That's your rundown on the Brownsburg individual statistics so far this season, and we are that much closer to game time, the final regular season game of the season. It's at CF Rourke Stadium, Noblesville Millers, Brownsburg Bulldogs. A few minutes away, but before the game, we got one more segment for you. Stay tuned.
Hello, Brownsburg High School.
Hello, Brownsburg High School. Hello, Brownsburg High School. Thanks for watching BHS TV.
Welcome back, everyone, to Friday First Down. I'm Adam Good. This is John Kleemeyer. And John, big game tonight. It is senior night here at CF Rourke Stadium. And, you're a senior. You've been on our broadcasting crew for a few years. What's going through the heads of some of the seniors tonight, knowing it's their last regular season home game?
Well, this season has not been regular of any sort. A lot of homecoming activities were canceled this season. So I think it's very emotional for them, just seeing that this is their last possibly regular season. Well, it is their last regular season game at CF Roark Stadium. So I think it's going to be very important, and emotions will be shown tonight.
Yeah, and the senior night ceremonies will be immediately following Friday First Down. We will be covering that for you live on bcsc.tv. So tune in, and it'll be nice to honor those seniors, but also we can kind of get that ceremony out of the way before the game and then refocus on the task at hand, which is the Noblesville Millers. Now, a lot has been going on around BHS fall athletics. This week has been a very, very big week in particular for the Dogs. Let's take a look at a couple things that have happened here. Last weekend, senior Camry Leaf competed in the girls golf IHSAA state finals, representing the Dogs very well. Congrats to her and the entire girls golf team. And just a couple nights ago, for the first time in school history, the boys tennis team won the regional championship. Yes, Brownsburg boys tennis is your regional champion. They will head to Center Grove tomorrow and take on Knightstown in the semi-state, so good luck to those guys. And the girls soccer team advanced to the sectional finals tomorrow. They will take on Avon in the championship game after defeating Plainfield on Thursday night. And the cross-country sectionals are going to start tomorrow. Brownsburg will be hosting both the boys and girls cross-country sectionals, so good luck to both of those teams. And the boys soccer team had a really good run to end the season. They came up just short of Avon this week, but great job to the boys soccer team on a fantastic season. Lots and lots of Bulldog pride around the high school and the athletic department this week, but tonight it is all about football. Brownsburg Bulldogs hosting the Noblesville Millers. And John, let's take a quick look at how the HCC standings are shaking out as of right now.
Yeah, Brownsburg looks like they're going to take second place in the HCC after they lost to Westfield 2 weeks ago. Westfield, they're going to probably take the conference. Fishers and Franklin Central, 2 teams near the bottom of the HCC. Noblesville, second to last in the ACC and looking to improve to 2-4 tonight. So looks like Brownsburg is going to be second if they can win at HSC next week, and HSC is ranked 3rd. So hopefully Brownsburg can pull it out next week.
Yeah, lots riding on both tonight. The Dogs got to win tonight. If HSC also wins tonight, then at HSC next week, and that's always a tough game over fall break for us here at Brownsburg. So providing both teams win tonight, which hopefully they do, next week could be a battle for second place, but you never know. It's high school football. Anything can happen. I wouldn't be shocked if any team beats any team, especially in the HCC conference. So we will see what happens. The IHSAA sectional draw was last night, and the Dogs now know who and where they will be playing in sectional number 5. So let's take a quick look at that.
So Brownsburg, last year they were able to face Avon in the sectional at home. They were able to play out and win that game, but 2 years ago they lost at their place, so we'll see how this one plays out.
Yeah, and the Dogs already faced Avon once this season at home and pulled away with the win there by more than 1 score. You never know. Avon always very, very tough come playoff time, especially at their place. So Dogs are going to have to show up, play very well. Now, if the Dogs are able to pull that game out, they will host the sectional championship. It does not matter who wins that other game. The Dogs would host the championship if they're able to win at Avon in the first round. Game time is almost here. And John, let's take one last look at the team comparison for the Millers and the Dogs.
Yeah, taking a look here, Noblesville is pretty much one-dimensional with that offense. They average about 211 rushing yards a game, only 33 passing yards a game. Brownsburg, not the same story. Rushing yards for Brownsburg per game, 201 and 223 passing yards per game. Brownsburg does have 25 rushing TDs, only to Noblesville's 11. So Brownsburg averages almost 7 times as many passing yards as Noblesville per game. Brownsburg can do many things. Noblesville, kind of one-dimensional in that T offense, and Noblesville still trying to understand how they want to play with this formation. It'll take probably a couple years to understand where their strengths are in that offense.
Great job as always, John. Thank you so much for all your research and preparation, both producing and writing this Friday First Down show for you, our audience, and thank you guys so much for watching the show. Game time is very, very close.
Yes.
What are your final thoughts?
Well, I think this defense is going to have to play a lot differently. Like Jalen said, they're going to check to different things throughout the game. Coach Pop has talked to his team in practice this week with different things they're going to do. Obviously, they're going to put 6 defensive linemen on that front 7. So a lot of different things. I think it's going to be a great show, both offensively and defensively for this Brownsburg team.
Can't wait to see it. Senior night actually is next, and we will be bringing that to you live on BCSC TV starting in just a couple of minutes. Thanks so much for watching Friday First Down. I'm Adam Good. This is John Kleemeyer, and we hope to see you back here real soon.